Alright, this is Andrew with Yoda Home Inspections. We are doing a sewer scope today here in Salt Lake. Today is May 29th, 2026, and we're at 229 East 7th Ave. We have the camera pushed out 118 feet to the city connection. Now we're going to pull it back and see what we find. So that first connection point is called the nose on, and that's where it goes from your lateral line into the main city line. Right off the bat, we have a pretty decent size offset there. That's one that I was having a hard time getting my camera over, and I had to run water and flush toilets to be able to pop my camera over that. The only way to permanently fix an offset like that is to dig it up and do a spot repair. There's another good size one right there as well. And that one is holding a bunch of waste. I don't know what that long thing is, a stick or something, a tool maybe, but something stuck in the pipe on that offset, and then some waste is built up on the bottom. It looks like there's still enough of an opening that waste has been able to get through it for the most part, but I'd recommend having that cleared. And again, long term, the only way to permanently fix these offsets is if the line was dug. There's no way to really trenchlessly fix an offset. Looks like clay pipe. Clay has that little bit of a red terracotta color. With clay, you also have a lot more joints. This looks like you have joints every 3 feet or so. And so the more joints, the more possibility there is for roots to work its way in. And that's definitely something I noticed here. That's a little one. We're going to see a lot more of them. Enough of them that I'd recommend, there's another. Enough that I would recommend that the line be cleaned now. Especially when they're right on the bottom of the pipe like that. Waste can get stuck on that. Pretty good sized one there. That one's mostly on the top, but it's covering half the pipe. Or at least a third. Another one there. That one's a pretty good sized one. More there. So quite a few. I'd recommend getting the entire line cleaned and then evaluated further. There's a lot more that you'll be able to see when you don't have a big root ball blocking half the pipe. That one also has some waste already stuck, and that'll just continue as it gets bigger and you put more waste down the line. Roots are a maintenance item. Once you have them, you're always going to have them, and so you'll want to keep up on that in the future. I would recommend home serve insurance. If it ever backs up, they'll come clear it, and if you have a big enough problem, they can put money towards repairing it. They don't cover what's in the street, they don't cover what's under the house, so it doesn't fix everything, but it's better than nothing. And it's not very expensive, it's about $15 a month. I would also recommend it on the water service pipe. That's another $5 or so. And that's the line that brings water to the house. Another big one there. Little ones. The last thing we're going to talk about is the line, the real big one there, kind of a curtain. Last thing we'll talk about is the line under the house. So you have a little section of no, actually I think that's still clay, but you do have a little separation there. Also a little bit flat through there where it's holding some water. When you have a low spot like that, waste can build up, grease can settle there and make it sticky, where more waste can get stuck. Now we're transitioning to cast iron, and that's what's under the house is cast. Cast iron gets really rough and rusty. It will eventually need to be replaced. It's hard to predict when. Cleaning it can give you some idea because you can get a better idea of the condition of the line once it's been cleaned. Honestly, for the age of this house, this is pretty smooth cast, but the concern is that it could be also very thin. If this has been cleaned a lot of times, to make it this smooth, it thins out. You can get channel rot on the bottom. You can see how the water's running through one small area. That could be because it's slightly eroded away on the base. A good option for cast that has good grade is a liner. You could blow a liner through this cast, and that's like having a new pipe inside of the old pipe. That's a lot cheaper than breaking up the basement slab, and a lot less of a nuisance. But enough roots and rough enough cast that I'd recommend that the entire line be cleaned, reevaluated so that you can see it once it's clean, and usually that's included. I recommend hydrojetting to remove roots. I recommend put coat to clean cast. It has a chain that knocks off all that rust and scale. So definitely some maintenance needed here. Some offsets, good chance those offsets have been there for a long time and not cause backups, but it's hard to predict, just because it didn't perfectly catch the waste for these homeowners doesn't mean that it wouldn't in the future. I'm going to end this recording now.